Well, my story started like when I was 15, 16. I had cystic acne. So yeah, that really shaped me, because that's the formative years. You want to be out, you know, with girls and socialising and things like that. But I actually went really internal, and yeah, because of the way I looked, I felt like I looked like a monster. I didn't have any skin. It was just there, and maybe a bit under my eyelids there was actually clear skin, but the rest was just purple and just pussy and blood, and pretty horrible. So that kind of was a kick in the guts, but that's where my search started for health. And for some reason I knew that drugs, pharmaceuticals, things like that, they weren't the answer. And it wasn't until I was probably 25 or 6 I heard of something called natural hygienic work, and that was where you clean out the body. So it's detoxification, so fasting, colonic irrigation, and you know, I later found out about liquid zeolites and MSM and fulvic acid, things that actually dissolve stuff like in the pipes of the body, so that they help to clear the plaque out. So it's like clean the internal body, and then absorption can happen, because when you've got this clagged up body, like it's full of, you know, fecal matter in your large intestine, it's plaque in your arteries, it's, you know, like all this calcium build up in your tendons and your joints, that is what's stopping the function. So it's like, it wasn't until I started fasting, started doing colonics, and my body started to not have the pimples anymore. And this is like nearly, you know, 25 to 30 years old, I started to really realise this. When I was 24, I stopped eating red meat, so chicken, beef, lamb, and that I felt awesome just doing that one change. And like, I just wasn't heavy anymore. I just felt alive for the first time. And even when I was young, I just really had a connection with animals as well, and I just didn't like killing fish. When I went fishing with my dad and things like that, I'd put them back, and so that was like at 8 years old. So I had this compassion for animals, and I just didn't want to harm them, kill them, hurt them. So and I still ate fish for a while, but not that much, but I was kind of kidding myself. So I went to, in 2011, I went to a David Wolf conference, full weekend thing, and I'd heard of RAW before, but it wasn't until I went to this conference that I said, I've got to pull my head in. I'm kidding myself. I know from my research, the books, all that sort of stuff that I'd read before, the vibrational stuff, the sun, the magic of food, I knew that was my way. And I just decided I'm not going backwards. I'm gonna be raw, plant-based. I'm gonna clean up my act. I'm gonna give up alcohol, coffee, all this cooked food that kind of, I didn't feel good after eating, you know, all the baked vegetables and the beans and things like that. Yeah, just from then on, I've just followed it, and I feel like I've been born again in a way. For the first time, I actually really connect with the food, you know, where the source, and I've got a really good relationship. So for me, a big part of what I do and the way I live is connection. So it's connection with the plants, it's connection with the planet, connection with each other. So it's eye contact, it's looking at each other in the eye, and yeah, getting into each other's soul in a way, like not being distracted and being fully present. Being up in the hills where I chose to live, it was a pretty dramatic move when I did that at the time, because I was moving away from the community I was in, and I was, you know, miles away from, you know, all the people that I'd known, and it meant that I had to drive to work, but it was worth it for me to be in that nature, have a view, have that feeling of height and vastness was really unreal for me. I actually manifested this view and this house and the price that I wanted to get, and I just knew as soon as I set foot on my property that was me. I was done. I had to buy it, I had to have it, and I lived up there by myself for a good 8 years before I met my partner. So in that time, before I met Kate, I still knew that this was the place where I could bring up a family, that the right person would dig it and see the potential and understand, you know, get away from the city, away from the rat race, and be in the fresh air and have baths outside. You know, that was fucking cool. Grow your own food, grow trees. A tree is an investment. It takes 7 years to get any fruit from it. You have to be patient. That's a big thing for me, is that patience and being in line with my belief, that congruency, exemplification of my belief. And like going raw, living up there, being barefoot, that is all in alignment with my beliefs, and I feel really good knowing that I'm not fake, I'm not a hypocrite, I'm actually living it. It's not hard for me, I just love it. It's not a chore. Like a lot of people say, I love eating, I love meat too much, but when you understand that it's nourishing your body, it's not harming you, you're not harming other animals, other creatures on this planet, then you can really tap into that, wholesomeness and be one with the community. It's like that.